We structure our entire adult lives around a single, unquestioned milestone, working for 40 decades to eventually earn the right to stop. But when you stress test the math and biology behind that traditional finish line, the model breaks. The standard career operating system demands a heavy upfront trade. You exchange the bulk of your active time and physical energy today for a deferred payout in the future, a redemption phase widely sold to us as the golden years. We are going to logically dismantle this deferred living model. By running it through 3 distinct modes of failure, we can see exactly why delaying your life's design is structurally unsound. The flaw starts with how we classify the goal itself. According to this text, retirement shouldn't be a goal at all. It is, by definition, worst-case scenario insurance. When you elevate a worst-case contingency plan into your primary reason for working, the entire architecture of your life design collapses. In strict economic terms, insurance serves one specific purpose. It is a capital hedge deployed exclusively against catastrophic, unavoidable loss. Applied to your career, the catastrophe you are insuring against isn't a lack of leisure time. The catastrophe is becoming physically incapable of working and needing a reservoir of capital to survive. It is entirely illogical to spend the most capable decades of your life optimizing for an insurance payout that only triggers when your body physically breaks down. Treating this fallback plan as a finish line creates severe blind spots. Specifically, the deferred living model fails across 3 distinct vectors. Because the foundation of our career planning is miscategorized, every subsequent decision we make about allocating our time and money becomes mathematically suspect. The first failure mode is biological. It concerns the heavy, upfront sacrifice the standard model demands before any capital is even generated.
The concept is predicated on the assumption that you dislike what you are doing during the most physically capable years of your life. The system requires you to tolerate undesirable labor right now, converting your active present into a currency that theoretically buys your freedom decades down the line. This graph maps the biological timeline of human life. Vitality operates on a steep bell curve, peaking sharply in our 20s, 30s, and 40s. When we overlay the traditional accumulation phase, decades spent performing undesirable work, it perfectly obscures your peak biological capability. You are trading the highest physical and cognitive output of your life for a theoretical future state that you might not even survive to see. The text notes that nothing can mathematically justify this trade. This trade exacts a severe capability cost. Capability cost is defined as the permanent, unrecoverable loss of human vitality spent during the wealth accumulation phase. The model breaks biologically because we are selling our most capable years at a profound, unrecoverable discount. Let's assume you accept that biological sacrifice and manage to reach the finish line. We then have to evaluate the median financial outcome. The mathematical reality is harsh. As the text outlines, most people will never be able to retire and maintain a basic standard of living. In this system, even 1 million is chump change. This diagram shows the benchmark goal, accumulating $1 million in principal, represented as a solid block. But that principal doesn't exist in a vacuum. The first variable that breaks the math is modern longevity. A traditional drawdown could span 30 years. The second compounding variable is the invisible decay of purchasing power. With annual inflation lowering your buying power by 2 to 4% per year, the principal rapidly erodes.
When you stretch a fixed pool of capital across 3 decades while simultaneously subjecting it to compound annual inflation, the destruction of your purchasing power becomes geometric. Look at the resulting end state. The math simply does not support the dream, reducing the golden years to a lower middle-class reality. For the vast majority of earners, the math fails completely, leaving retirees with a deeply bittersweet ending instead of financial freedom. The second failure is purely mathematical. The standard model doesn't generate sustainable wealth. It guarantees a slow structural financial regression. There is, of course, an outlier scenario. What happens to the rare individual who manages to overfund their accounts, beat the math, and retire comfortably? The text addresses this directly. If the math does actually work for you, it means you are an ambitious, hard-working machine. To amass significant wealth requires a specific psychological profile. It demands relentless drive, continuous momentum, and incredibly high cognitive output. This system diagram maps the psychological mechanics of that high-output personality. Watch what happens when this intense, continuous feedback loop of ambition suddenly collides with the rigid wall of passive leisure. The system immediately fractures. Stripped of momentum, the sudden transition induces extreme boredom. As the text notes, 1 week in, you'll want to stick bicycle spokes in your eyes. The high-output mind inevitably reverts to the mean, bypassing the block to aggressively start a new job or launch another company. Returning to productive output after reaching the finish line completely defeats the purpose of spending decades waiting to stop working. The third failure is psychological. The specific human engine required to successfully reach the destination is incapable of shutting off once it arrives. This decision tree summarizes the complete collapse of deferred redemption. Whether we follow the branch of biological loss, mathematical decay, or psychological incompatibility, all paths simultaneously terminate in structural failure. If you fail to save enough, the model crushes you financially. If you succeed and save a fortune, the model breaks you psychologically. Ultimately, the execution of this model fails either way. Recognizing that this ultimate goal is structurally unsound forces us to physically dismantle our current career architecture entirely from the ground up. We return to our initial baseline. Retirement is not a finish line. It is strictly a contingency hedge against physical incapacity and nothing more. Stripping away the illusion of a deferred paradise forces us to stop waiting and confront the strict reality of our present timeline. If we are no longer optimizing our capital and time for a future escape hatch, we need to define a distinctly new primary objective. The alternative framework is present design. Present design is the strategy of deliberately allocating your resources to create a sustainable, immediately engaging lifestyle today. This visualizes our re-architected framework. Under present design, the path is continuous and focused on optimizing the current day. The old retirement concept is removed from the end and pushed deep beneath the timeline, serving its logical purpose as a foundational contingency hedge. Instead of the high-friction, dual-phase life, where you suffer now to relax later, this new model operates as a single, continuous flow of sustainable engagement. The logical imperative is clear. Engineer a present reality aligned with your capabilities and interests, ensuring you no longer harbor any desire to escape it. True autonomy isn't waiting 30 years for permission to stop working. It is designing a life where your peak capability and your daily reality are perfectly integrated, starting right here and starting right now.